Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, welcome in as we get ready to rock and roll here from Phoenix Raceway as the always amazing Outcast Racing League is about to get into action as you watch the 99 ride of Chris Muse go for a little bit of a drift down through 3 and 4 race qualifying underway. Drivers out there on the speedway, they're looking to lay down their quickest lap times, trying to set themselves up here for a good start to their afternoon. David Duran Jr. down across the line. He's looking for that extra little bit of speed to try to put himself up towards the front of the field. As right now, it's Caleb McKinney with the quick time here in qualifying. Austin Smith in second. Colton Manich, Lance Brantlinger, and Cameron Gomes are top 5 here in the timesheets. Then we see Dom Salvo there in position number 6. Adolfo Castillo there in position number 7 with Casey Gross. Tyler Humphrey and Kurt Sponsler was rounding out our top 10, but now we see David Duran Jr. jump up into the 3rd spot. So a good lap right there for David Duran Jr. as he'll jump into that 3rd spot. We did see Al Reed slide into the 10th position, moving Tyler Humphrey and Kurt Sponsler outside of the top 10 here in qualifying. Lancaster back in 13th with Mike Killingback and Billy Jordan rounding out our top 15. Chris Muse currently 16th fastest out there on the speedway. Darrell Whitford, Robert Tuiscu back there in 17th and 18th. Still yet to see Joshua Neal, Corey Crowell, Wayne Garland, Brandon Puffenbarger, or Johnny Thunders take a qualifying lap here. So we got 23 drivers loaded into the sim here. 18 have laid down their qualifying attempts. 5 drivers yet to qualify. So we'll have to wait and see if they can hop out there. But I do believe qualifying coming to an end, so they will be unfortunately starting at the back of the pack. So we'll get them all stacked up, racked up, and ready to go. Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, you guys know what to do. Hit that like button, hit that share button, hit that follow and subscribe button as we get ready here for our A-Main feature event. Our A-Main is about to get underway. These drivers are getting ready to go to battle for 150 laps of racing action. So 150 laps of back and forth, beating and banging, battling out there on the speedway. And we're going to see these drivers duke it out for this is a lot of laps here at Phoenix, but it's going to be a good time no matter what. These drivers are going to put on a great show. We are going to see 2 stage breaks at lap number 35 and lap number 70. So 2 stages kind of breaking things up here, kind of making things a little bit different. So we'll have 2 stages in the first half of this race. The second half of this race will be all one stage where these drivers may see a very good long green flag run where we may see them have to make their way down pit side and have to make those green flag pit stops, and that is always a dangerous place to be as we'll get these drivers loaded into the sim, each and every one of them looking for the win here this afternoon. And starting on the pole, it is the 76 ride of Caleb McKinney. We're waiting for McKinney to load in. There he is, as Caleb McKinney in the Overton 76 ride will start in that top spot. To his outside, that is Austin Smith. David Duran Jr. in the Napa Auto Parts number 51 ride will start in third, with Colt Manich in the 00 ride. The Williamsburg Contracting Shenco Custom Diecast 00 ride there in that fourth position. Starting at fifth is Lance Brantlinger in the Budweiser number 8 ride. Then we see Cameron Combs there in the Mobile 1 number 15. We'll start there in 6. Dom Salvo there in position number 7, with Adolfo Castillo in the Quantum Motorsports Shenco Custom Diecast Williamsburg Contracting PeaceMaker Gaming number 31. Casey Gross, another one of those Quantum Motorsports rides, will start there in 9th, and to his outside in the Elite Sim Racing, the ZZX Digital number 3. That is the RT3 Designs LLC machine of Al Reed, rounding out our top 10. And then we see Tyler Humphrey, Kurt Sponsler, Mike Killingback, Chris Muse, Chad Lancaster, Robert Tuiscu, Billy Jordan, Corey Crowell, Daryl Whitford, Johnny Thunders, Brandon Puffenbarger, Joshua Neal, Wayne Garland, Lance Brantlinger actually going to go to the rear of the field here. So unfortunately for Lance, he's going to go from starting up towards the front of the pack all the way back to the rear of the field here. Start this race, so a heartbreaker right there for another one of our playoff contenders. To see all the playoff drivers with the yellow banners on their windshields here, and the yellow back wings as well, so you can really see the difference on the drivers that are part of our playoffs and the drivers that aren't. Now there may be a couple that are squeezed in here that haven't yet put those banners on, as we are quickly back to green flag racing. So the green flag out in the air. The 76 ride of Caleb McKinney leads us down into corner number 1, and nice and easy out of corner number 2. But here comes David Duran Jr. David already trying to work himself to the front of the field, is down low, down into corner number 3, and it's going to be the 51 ride of David Duran Jr. who will jump up and take that early race lead away from Caleb McKinney, as David Duran Jr. leads lap number 1 here this afternoon. McKinney not done yet. He's going to try to keep on battling here to the inside of the 51 ride. And see them battle door to door here up corner number 2, and slowly but surely coming into the picture here is that 15 rider Cameron Combs. Is Combs right there ready to pounce, as well as my boy Eric Deftero. Eric coming in, setting it off here in this one with a 50-star dono. I appreciate that, brother, coming in, showing the love with the 50-star dono. First-time star sender as well. I appreciate that, my boy, coming in, showing the love here in this one. Hopefully you are ready for another amazing race, another amazing show here this afternoon for the Key West Racing League later this afternoon, as we do see our first caution flag of the day fly here from Phoenix Raceway. Let's take a look back. Look like Wayne Garland gonna run into some issues here. So the Outcast Racing League, the Poor Boy Motorsports ride here of Wayne Garland, just outside the top 20, goes down onto the apron right here. Unfortunately, that car just kicks loose and slides up the racetrack, and nowhere to go for Brandon Puffenbarger. Puffenbarger gets collected in that one. Heavy damage there for both of those competitors, but man, just looks like this 84 ride going down onto the dog leg here. So this is a legal move here at Phoenix. You can go down onto this apron, but you can see just how that car handles it. Unfortunately, just loses the rear end. It shoots down the racetrack, hits that pit wall right there on the exit of pit entry, and as he does, that car just keeps on sliding and bouncing, slides way up the racetrack into the outside fence, and nowhere to go for Brandon Puffenbarger, as he was trying not to tee him up, trying not to hit him. Unfortunately, ran out of room in a quick hurry. Let's see if we can jump in here with the number 5 ride and see what he can see. As can't really see much out the left-hand side. There's the 84, just slides up in front of him. Unfortunately, a lot of damage there for the 5 as well. As you can see, that steering wheel turned about 90 degrees to the right, and the car still does not want to go too straight. So it's a tough break there for the number 5 rider. Still looking to try to get that thing repaired and back out there onto the speedway. Same with Corey Crowell as he came down pit side there, and Wayne Garland still down on pit road. So a couple of mistakes right there, a couple of hard hits for a few of those drivers as Wayne Garland still finds himself down pit side here. Now I don't think he's trying to use up that quick repair as of yet, or else he would be able to roll back out there onto the racetrack. But unfortunately, it looks like not using that quick repair. He's going to be held down pit side, trying to get this car fixed up and back out onto the racetrack. But he may be down there for quite a few laps as here comes Casey Gross as well. Gross is going to make an unscheduled pit stop here as everybody else is going to get ready to go back to green flag racing here in just a little bit. Does look like the caution lights are still on here, so we're going to get another trip around before we go back to green flag racing. But ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, can't thank you guys enough for tuning in, coming in, showing the love here in this one. If you guys are just tuning in and you haven't already, please make sure you guys do us a favor. Hit that like button, hit that share button, hit that follow or subscribe button if you're watching over on Facebook, Twitch, or YouTube, as we are currently live on all 3 channels, and we continue to try to keep growing on every single front here. We continue to reach new people and hope to continue to build the PeaceMaker family up more and more and more every single race that we produce. So hopefully we can see more and more people, fans in the stands, coming in and cheering these amazing drivers on. As we will get ready to go back to green flag racing. I do believe this next time by the start finish line is Outcast Racing League says enjoy the race. Yes sir, enjoy the race. Outcast coming in, showing the love over there on YouTube as we're going to get ready to hopefully set these drivers back loose. There we go, lights are going to turn off, so that means we are going to get the 1 to go. So next time out at corner number 4, we will see that green flag fly, and we will get right back into the action here with the Outcast Racing League this afternoon. Already a couple bumps and bruises for a few of the drivers deeper in the field, and now we'll have to wait and see what this restart has in store for us. There could be a bunch of bumping and beating and banging. We've seen 2, 3, 4, even 5, 6 wide down through that dog leg. And as these drivers continue to build up that intensity, we get closer and closer to these stages coming to a close. We get closer to that checkered flag. The intensity is only going to ramp up more and more and more. And when that intensity builds up, that's usually when drivers tend to make mistakes or run into issues, and that's really what creates a lot of controversy here in any of the series, and we're going to see a lot of hungry drivers looking for wins this afternoon, trying to advance themselves in our NASCAR playoffs as we are back to green flag racing. The Napa Auto Care number 51 of David Duran Jr. out in front. He was able to quickly make some moves there on our initial start of the afternoon, and he slid himself right up into the top spot, and now he is looking to try to stay there, but here comes Austin Smith trying to make a charge back in the 76 of Caleb McKinney, unfortunately sliding back another spot. McKinney slides back into position number 4 here on the racetrack as Cameron Gomes continues his march up towards the front of the field as the Mobile 1 number 15 ride. They're in position number 3 and now trying to poke his nose down low here, seen with Austin Smith as they're both looking to go around David Duran Jr. here for that race lead. Looks like Smith will make that pass, so Austin Smith out in front. The WeatherTech number 23 right now leads the way, and there goes Cameron Gomes. He'll slide himself around David Duran Jr. as well as David slides back into position number 3. Hill McKinney back there in 4th, down 3 spots from starting on that pole position here. Unfortunately has not led a lap this afternoon, but did lead us to that initial green flag. But ever since then, he's been battling these drivers, and they've been all over him here in this one. As here comes Tom Salvo right there as well. Adolfo Castillo right there in that picture as well, trying to work himself inside the top 5. The 00 Colton Manich down a couple spots here early in the race as the Williamsburg Contracting Shenco Custom Diecast and 00 ride rolls there in 7th with Kurt Sponsler, Al Reed, and now Chris Muse rounding out our top 10 here on the Speedway. Muse in the fast track number 99 ride has worked himself up 6 spots already here on the Speedway, and he is our hard charger as of right now. More drivers though falling backwards, working themselves up, I don't mean beyond, as Lance Brantlayer technically is still down 8 spots from where he was supposed to start. He was supposed to start in that 5th position. Unfortunately, had an EOL, had to start at the end of the line. So he went from starting inside the top 5 to all of a sudden starting at the rear of the field, and he's already worked himself up about 10 positions on the racetrack. So he's been moving all the way towards the front of the field, as we do see Billy Jordan down pit side here as well on the 14 ride. So an unscheduled pit stop there for Billy Jordan. He is going to get back under power and get rolling here once again, but the Vertex GR number 14 ride, unfortunately, all the way back here now, a few laps down. Same with Wayne Garland, as both drivers going to be looking for a bunch of caution flags and a bunch of lucky dogs to try to work each other back out there onto the lead lap, as Joshua Neal scored in 21st. He is the last driver on the lead lap, as only 2 cats already down laps here this afternoon, and that is Wayne Garland, that is Billy Jordan, as out in front, Austin Smith continuing to lead the way. Smith out in front, Cameron Combs trying to stick right there with him, maybe even try to hunt him down to see if he can try to get that Elite Sim Racing number 15 ride up and into the top spot here this afternoon. Cale McKinney now into 3rd, as Colton Manch back into 4th, as David Duran Jr. slides back now into position number 5. So he slides back into that 5th spot as Kurt Sponsler starting to work his way up through the top 10 here. Sponsler, another Elite Sim Racing ride up inside the top 10 here. Same with Al Reed right there underneath of them. Teammates battling door to door. They got their other teammate Cameron Combs up in position number 2. So the Elite Sim Racing rides looking pretty fast here this afternoon. Al Reed and Sponsler both outside of the top 5 looking in, but they're looking to try to hunt down that 51 of David Duran Jr., the 00 of Colton Manich. But right there behind him so far, the hard charger on the afternoon. The 99 ride of Chris Muse finds himself now up 8 positions. Started all the way back in 16th, now up into that 8th spot in the 99 of Muse. Continues to try to work himself up and through the field. Same with that 8 ride, Lance Brantlinger right here as well. He's looking to keep on moving as Tyler Humphrey in the 24, the eBay Motors ride here this evening. Usually we see him in his Must Love Poodles ride here, so a different paint scheme for Tyler Humphrey, is normally we see him in the Must Love Poodles number 9 machine. Today we got him in the 24 machine. As Corey Crowell out there, he is scored in the 15th spot. Brandon Puffenbarger, who we saw get collected in that first caution flag, and unfortunately already having to use that quick repair to get that 5 ride put back into one piece, and able to keep on competing and battling here this afternoon. Now you just got to make sure he keeps that car clean and does not make any mistakes or get collected in any other issues here this evening, as one more big hit like we saw out of that 5 right early in this race could have him down pit side for multiple lapses. Look at Lance Brantlinger hard into the infield fence. My gosh, a big hit right there for the 8 ride. No caution flag as of yet. A heartbreaker for Lance Brantlinger. Let's play this one back, because Brantlinger, oh man, almost identically to what the 84 ride of Wayne Garland did. Coming out of corner 4, he actually ends up making a little contact there, so a little different. Not sure if this contact is what really made him lose the front end. I do believe it is. So he makes that little bit of contact into the numbers out at corner number 4 with the 24. Unfortunately, loses that front end. He's trying to save it, trying to get this car pointing the right direction. Unfortunately, it never does. And by the time he realizes that he wasn't going to be able to save it, he slams hard down into that infield fence there, protecting the pit lane. And unfortunately, heavy left front damage here. Now, he bounces back up onto the racetrack. A good piece of driving here by Whitford and Neal and Garland, the 14 ride right there. Billy Jordan all able to avoid him and keep them from just being a multi-car wreck right there, and keeping it as a 1-car incident. Is unfortunately for the Budweiser number 8 machine. Heavy damage. He's had to come down pit side, get that car repaired. He's back out onto the racetrack, but I do believe he is going to fall at least a lap or 2 behind here. So a tough break early in the race now for Lance Brantlinger, already running into those issues as one of our playoff drivers having that problem out there on the speedway. Austin Smith, though, no problems as of yet for the 23, as he is out in front, continuing to show these drivers how to get it done. Cameron Combs there in second with with Caleb McKinney back there in third. Colton Manch there at fourth. David Durant Jr. holding on to position number 5. Al Reed back there in 6th, and Kurt Sponsler there in 7th. Dom Salvo back there in 8th with Chris Muse, and Adolfo Castillo rounding out our top 10. Lancaster, Humphrey, Killingback, Puffin Barger, and the 20 ride of Corey Crowell, our top 15 with Casey Gross, Johnny Thunders, Robert Tuiscu, Joshua Neal, and Daryl Whitford is our top 20. Brantlinger, the first driver, 1 lap down, or 2 laps down out there on the speedway, and then we see Wayne Garland and Billy Jordan also multiple laps down back there in the 22nd and 23rd spot here on the speedway. As Smith out in front, he's going to continue to click off these laps. His last time by the start-finish line, we see lap number 25 go up onto the board. We got about 10 more laps here before we see the end of stage number 1. So stage number 1 quickly coming to a close here this afternoon. We're going to see these drivers continue to beat and bang and battle all the way to the very end. And you see that 8 right off Brantlinger, who's right there 2 laps down, but does have fresher tires and everything else. Now, see, try to push the subject and see if he can try to work himself around the 15 right of Cameron Combs, and then go around our race leader of Austin Smith. I think that is going to be his best way to even get back potentially into this race, would be to probably try to make his way up here and see if he can try to get around both of those drivers, get a lap back out there on the racetrack. The stage break that's coming here in the next few laps would give him the wave around again, being the only driver 1 lap down, and then he would find himself back on the lead lap. He would be at the rear of the field, but nonetheless he would be back on the lead lap and not sitting 2 laps down. But either or here, he's going to see that caution flag come out. He will get that lucky dog, and he will end up 1 lap down again, where he would be in line for another free pass and another lucky dog to potentially work himself back onto the lead lap if we see another quick caution flag. But it's going to be a lot of up in the air here for the 8 ride, especially now knowing that he's used that quick repair, cannot have another mistake like he had there out at corner number 4, as that could end his night in a quick hurry. Is out in front. Austin Smith just continuing to run away with this one, now out in front by almost a second between himself and Cameron Combs. Combs was able to hang with him there for quite a while, but now you see that gap starting to grow as Combs slides there into the 2nd spot. We see Caleb McKinney back here in 3rd. He's about almost 3 seconds behind our race leader, Colton Manch, right there in 4th. David Durant Jr. there in that 5th spot on the speedway. Al Reed there in 6th with Kurt Sponsler, Dom Salvo, Adolfo Castillo, and now Tyler Humphrey up inside the top 10 as Humphrey works around the 99 right of Chris Muse. Muse now under fire here as here comes the 0-2 of Chad Lancaster and the 5 ride of Brandon Puffenbarger right here as well. They're both looking to try to get around that 99 as maybe use up those good clean tires a little too early in this run, and I'm starting to feel the pain of that one as those tires may be a little bit more burned up than everybody else, and now starting to slide backwards. We did see Daryl Whitford run into some issues here as well. So Whitford in the Lug Nuts Racing number 21 ride. So just down the front straightaway here, just there for a little bit, and there he goes. He's going to take that car off the speedway and back down pit side here. So I'm not sure what may have happened to the 21 ride of Whitford, but he is off the speedway. Out in front, some more great racing here as all these drivers continue to battle, continue to beat and bang and battle here for the race lead out there on the speedway. Some absolutely amazing racing action here, man. These guys are putting on one heck of a show for us this afternoon, and already we see a couple drivers running into issues, a couple drivers having some problems out there on the speedway, but nonetheless, they are continuing to just keep on beating and banging and continue to race out here on the speedways. Down across the line, we are going to click off another lap, and we do see only a couple more laps here left before the end of stage number 1, as out in front, the 23 ride of Austin Smith looking to pick up that stage win. Cameron Combs there in 2nd. Caleb McKinney quite a ways back there in position number 3. Colton Manich there in fourth with David Duran Jr. Our top five here, all looking for some stage points in stage number one. Sponsor, Al Reed, Adolfo Castillo, Dom Salvo, and Tyler Humphrey looking for those stage points as well here in this one. As Smith in the WeatherTech 23 ride. Only about a lap and a half left here before stage number one comes to a close on the completion of lap number 35. So we got to wait till lap 35 completely comes to a close, and then we will see that green and white checkered flag fly. And I do believe that will get us started here on our 35th lap, so we'll have to wait just a little bit longer, another lap here before our stage comes to a close. Colton Manich did run into some issues here. We take a look back, you do see the 00 ride turned around. That will bring the caution flag out, and it will end the stage. So the stage is going to come to a close, and it is Austin Smith who picks up stage win number one here this afternoon. Cameron Combs there in second. Caleb McKinney coming home in third. David Duran Jr., Kurt Sponsler, our top five, with Al Reed, Adolfo Castillo, Dom Salvo, Tyler Humphrey, and Brandon Puffenbarger, our top 10 here at the end of stage number one. Let's take a look back and see what happened to the 00 rider, Colton Manich, who brings out that caution flag just before the end of stage number one. And there you go. You see him trying to cut that dog leg, and unfortunately, he got it a little sharp right there, and he almost takes a couple of the fences down low, and just luckily enough avoids those, and unfortunately then goes around. Let's take a look at him here. So he's going to cut the dog leg right here, and you see that rear end kind of kick out on him. So that was a very, very close call. We already saw that happen to Brantlinger. We saw that happen to Wayne Garland. The conversion going from the racing surface down onto this dog leg is a pretty ferocious bump, and if you don't hit it exactly perfect, or if you don't really expect it too much, you know, that rear end can get kicked out and around in a quick hurry, and that's exactly what happens here to the 00. Car goes sideways. He's sliding here and just narrowly avoids major head-on collision there with that inside fence for the pit lane, and just barely misses more contact here with the other fence down low on the speedway. Now still trying to save it. Luckily enough, David Duran Jr. is going to miss him here. He does get up and into this outside fence, but I would say that's very minimal damage, very minimal contact compared to what he could have had down the low on the speedway. And then this is never a sight you want to see, as all these other drivers are going to be flying by him here in a quick hurry. And luckily enough, each and every one of them are able to avoid him and not collect him or take him out even more, create more chaos here on the speedway. But he does have to get going before that iRacing. Ooh, I don't know if that's going to keep him back there behind the pace car or not. Turned around, I think it may keep him there. No, he's going to be able to get around that pace car, and he will stay on the lead lap at least, as we'll get all these drivers ready to go back to green flag racing. Everyone did come down for some green flag pit stops here. That's where you see the 00. So it does look like they did place him back behind the official iRacing pace car here. So he is going to be looking to get that wave around back around the pace car to keep himself on the lead lap. And Wayne Garland in the 84 also trying to get that wave around to work himself back a lap here this afternoon as well. We did see Lance Brantlinger get a free pass to work himself back onto the lead lap. Johnny Thunders also has some front end damage here for the 60 ride. Unfortunately for Thunders, he now finds himself a lap down as well. So it's going to be interesting. Those two are going to be battling for that free pass. The lucky dog. We're going to have Wayne Garland now one lap down as well. So he'll be in that fight for the lucky dog position as well here on this restart. Daryl Whitford still down pit side and off of the speedway. So a tough break for the 21 ride as the Lugnuts Racing ride down pit road. But everybody else rolling back out onto the speedway. Everybody else getting ready to go back to green flag racing here for stage number 2. My boy Chris Pilo, what's good, Chris? Chris coming in, showing the love, coming in, smashing that like on the stream. James Garland coming in with that heart reaction as well. Says, I wish I was out there with everyone dealing with a sick kiddo. Oh, James, brother, that is that's a tough break right there, my boy. That's a tough break. Hopefully the kiddo feels better soon, and hopefully not too much of a hassle for you. But you know, that's a tough break. We always wish seeing you out here on the speedway, but hey, man, family is always first, and know that you're taking care of the kiddo and hoping that they're feeling better here as we are going to get ready to go back to green flag racing. Down out of corner number 4. The green flag back out into the air here for Austin Smith. Smith sees that green flag fly once again and quickly back onto the left pedal, looking to try to run away with this one. As Smith out in front, the 76 of Caleb McKinney, though, right there to his left rear bumper, and a little wiggle there out of the 23 as that's going to open up the door here for McKinney to try to maybe make his move back to the front of the field, but quickly you do see that 51 of David Durant Jr. He's making some moves. He's splitting some traffic. He's trying to work himself back out in front, down to the dog leg. Goes the 15 of Cameron Combs. Combs looking for a bang run down that front straightaway to stick right here to the back bumper of our top 3 on the speedway. As these drivers continue to battle, we're going to see the lap times kind of bounce around quite a bit here this afternoon. So the lap times are going to move around. Tire wear will play a bit of a factor here in this race. So for these drivers, maybe taking a little bit easy on these tires in the first, 5-10 laps of a run, and then maybe having those better tires later in this run could be the bigger play. But right now, everyone seems to be hard at it, trying to work themselves through the field. You do see Austin Smith slide back a couple spots here into that 3rd spot, so maybe just trying to be a little bit more cautious with his tire wear, maybe trying to save that car a little bit more. Same with Cameron Combs, and allowing David Durant Jr. to steamroll his way back out in front. Caleb McKinney right there with them in position number 2. Adolfo Castillo now up into the 5th spot here. He's looking underneath that 15 ride of Mr. Cameron Combs for position number 4. Now here comes Kurt Sponsler and Auery right there into the mix, and then Tom Salvo back there in position number 8 with Mike Killingbeck and Chad Lancaster rounding out our top 10. Some great racing action, a lot of back and forth, a lot of door-to-door battles out here on this speedway. Some comers, some goers, different drivers making moves, different drivers trying to use some different strategy to try to help them out here this afternoon and what they can do here on the speedway. As Jordan Rose says, how has the 19 been doing? I just got in. The 19 rider Salvo, he's done a pretty decent job all day. He's been kind of right around that 9th position. He's kind of been right around the top 10. He hasn't really been too flashy, but hasn't fallen back or anything really too much. Hasn't really made too many mistakes, and just kind of having a good solid run so far throughout the day. Now he could be holding back, could be waiting till a little later in this race to start making those moves and see if Salvo needs to, save some tires or make a bit of a different strategy call to help put himself into some better track position where maybe he leapfrogs and puts himself out in front and uses the fresh air to his advantage here at Phoenix. And maybe he's got a car, man. I mean, the Williamsburg Contracting racing rides always super fast. You see 2 of them right there with Salvo and Killingbeck back in the 8th and 9th place on the speedway, and they're hunting down this 15 of Cameron Combs. Combs again sliding backwards here. Now I'm not sure, this doesn't tell me whether or not these drivers took tires or not. It would be interesting if it could. Pit stop count. It doesn't shows me tire compound, but doesn't show me how many laps they have on a set of tires, or else that would be very, very cool if it did. Because if it could use that kind of information, then that would make it really, really interesting. As on here, tire change or tire change. Okay, this is just other information. Okay, that's interesting. All right, well, not too much we can learn off that. I was hoping that the SDK overlay would give us a little something here, as just the way that Austin Smith and that the 15 of Cameron Combs have been kind of sliding back. Now, they were the fastest cars. They were running 1 and 2 at the time of the stage coming to a close here, but now coming back out, they both started still in front of the field. I'm thinking maybe they didn't take tires here. Maybe a bit of a strategy call, trying to keep an extra set back there behind the pit wall here in stage number 2. maybe going to give up some of the stage points and try to use those tires to their advantage here, as we see Smith all the way back now into 6th. We see Cameron Combs back there in 9th, and he's at risk of going even farther back, as there goes the 8 ride of Brantlinger. Luckily enough, Brantlinger is a lap down here on the speedway. He is the first driver 1 lap down out there on the racetrack, and he is looking to hopefully get that free pass the lucky dog to put himself back on the lead lap and back into contention here this afternoon, as Brantlinger shown that he's got some good speed out of that Budweiser number 8 ride, but a couple early mistakes here on the day have put him behind the ball, and unfortunately trying to play catch up out here on the speedway. As David Durant Jr. continues to lead the way, Caleb McKinney right there in 2nd. Adolfo Castillo back there in 3rd, with Al Reed and Kurt Sponsler, our top 5 here on the racetrack, as we just rolled over 50 laps into this race. So we are 1/3 of the way through here this afternoon. So the laps are closing down here in a quick hurry, and we inch closer and closer to our checkered flag here this afternoon, as we're going to jump into a very quick PeaceMaker Gaming Crank It Up. So ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, crank up that volume and cheer on your favorite drivers. We're going to crank it up here in stage number 2. Alrighty, a beautiful crank it up session right there as we edge closer and closer to the end of stage number 2 here this afternoon. So stage number 2 coming to a close here, and out in front, continuing to lead the way, is the 51 right of David Duran Jr. David out in front, putting some of these drivers a lap down out here on the speedway as lap traffic starting to come into play, but he's got a 1.6 second gap between himself and the 76 ride of Caleb McKinney. Adolfo Castillo still there in position number 3 with Al Reed and Dom Salvo rounding out our top 5 here on the speedway as the 19 ride continues to work his way up closer and closer to the front of the field. Is out in front. David Duran Jr. though going to click off another lap here and look to continue to try to stretch out that race lead between himself and Caleb McKinney here at Phoenix International Speedway, as this is another good run, another good race here for the Napa Auto Care ride. We saw him jump out in front, lead some laps early on in stage number 1. Unfortunately slid back to about the 5th spot and got 5th place points there at the end of stage number 1. But here in stage number 2, he is looking to go after it here. He is looking to try to cash in and pick up another stage win here this afternoon, as David Duran Jr. rolls out in front. Caleb McKinney, another one of our playoff drivers, back there in second with Adolfo Castillo back there in third. Al Reed and Dom Salvo, a couple more of our playoff contenders here this afternoon, battling up inside the top 5. Kurt Sponsler back here in position number 6 with Mike Killingbeck back there in 7th. And unfortunately right now we do see that caution flag come out, so the caution flag going to come out a little bit sooner Then our initial break, actually, I do believe at lap 70, I was thinking for some reason lap 75 was our stage break. So lap 70 was the end of the stage, and that puts us under the caution flag. So stage number 2 gonna go to David Duran Jr. So David picking up that stage 2 win. Caleb McKinney, Adolfo Castillo, Al Reed, and Dom Salvo, our top 5 here in stage number 2. Sponsler, Smith, Killingbeck, Lancaster, and Corey Crowell, our top 10 out there on the racetrack, as we did see Smith slide all the way back to 7th. We saw, unfortunately for Cameron Combs, he fell all the way back now into the 12th position. So these drivers, unfortunately, taking a little bit of different strategies here. Not getting any stage points there for Cameron Combs. That may be a big fault, or maybe something that he was planning on doing and just hoping for a better finish than a better stage number 2 after earning some good stage points there in the first stage. As he gets down into his pit box, he's going to get some work done to that car. There we go. He's jacked up. They're going to put some fresh tires onto the number 15 ride and all these other rides. As out in front, it is Casey Gross. Gross going to stay out a lap, but now he's going to come down pit side here with the lap down traffic. So a very interesting call out of the 77 rider, Casey Gross, is that will lose him all of his track position, and he will go from battling just inside the top 10 to all of a sudden outside of the top 15, top 18 on the racetrack, as there are still about 18 drivers or so left on this lead lap. So it's going to be very interesting to see where he'll have to get lined up now after missing that pit stop. Brantlinger looking to hopefully get that free pass. I don't think he is, as unfortunately a couple other drivers staying out here. You do see Colton Manich, Johnny Thunders, the 84 ride, all looking to get the wave around and trying to get another lap back and potentially put themselves back onto the lead lap here this evening. So a tough break for some of those other drivers that will be trapped back there a little farther and potentially lose or potentially gain a lap back, but they will stay a lap down or multiple laps down here for some of them. So tough break there for them, as we'll get all these drivers ready to go back. The green flag racing is out of pit lane. It is the 19 ride of Dom Salvo. Salvo is going to be our new race leader when we go back to green flag racing here. So Salvo in that Williamsburg Contracting Shenco custom diecast number 19 ride. He's going to lead the way back to the green flag. David Duran Jr. now into second with the 76 of Caleb McKinney back there in third. Al Reed in fourth with Adolfo Castillo there in position number 5. Austin Smith back there in 6th with Mike Killingbeck, Kurt Sponsler, Cameron Combs, and Corey Crowell rounding out our top 10. Chad Lancaster there in the Land N Sea NSB, the 02 ride, looking good out there on the speedway. And we're going to get a quick word in here from our sponsors over at the Land N Sea NSB. Alrighty, huge shout out there to Land N Sea NSB for being a part of the Outcast Racing League as we go back to green flag racing. Our third and final stage is underway here from Phoenix Raceway. Is out in front, it's Dom Salvo who leads the way here in this one. Salvo out in front, David Duran Jr. right there in second, is almost 3 wide coming out of corner number 2. It's Caleb McKinney in the 31 right of Adolfo Castillo. Door to door down into corner number 3, as here comes that 51, David Duran Jr. looking to try to take that race lead back away from Salvo. Salvo up on the high side down through the dog leg goes the 51. He's going to cut about half a car length out of that gap, and he will send it down into corner number 1 and out of 2. It's the 51 right of David Duran Jr. who will come back with the race lead down the back straightaway here in Phoenix. Salvo back there into second with Adolfo Castillo back there in position number 3 with Caleb McKinney. Austin Smith now back up inside our top 5. Now we saw Smith after picking up stage win number 1, ended up coming down pit side, got some fuel, did not really look like he got tires, and that car slid all the way back to about the 8th position there in stage number 2, but here he is quickly working himself back up towards the front of the field. Same with that 15 rider Cameron Combs. Combs who came home second there in our first stage. Definitely one of the faster cars out there on the speedway. Did not have that speed as he did not take those tires there at the end of stage number 1. But now here in stage number 2, able to put the fresh tires onto this 15 ride and now looking to use them to his advantage out there on the speedway. as David Durant Jr. continues to lead the way. Adolfo right there in position number 2, trying to hold on and hold off that 23 of Austin Smith. As Smith continued to try to work his way up to the front of the field, you see the 31 get loose and up into the outside fence. Pretty good contact there. Into that right front for the 31 right of Adolfo Castillo. Unfortunately, quite a bit of damage there, and not only that, as he lost about 4 spots on the speedways, that allowed Smith, McKinney, Reed, and Combs to all get around him here. And the 31 goes from 2nd back to 6th, and now has that right front damage here after taking the outside fence right there. Got a little tight, washed up the racetrack, and unfortunately snagged that outside fence. Corey Crowell right there behind him, looking to continue his march towards the front of the field, as Corey started all the way back in the 20th position for the 20 ride, and now finds himself up 13 positions and sitting there in 7th. So he's been a man on the move. Same with Brandon Puffenbarger after getting collected in that first caution flag. Heavy damage where he had to use that quick repair, get this car fixed back up and back out there on the racetrack, and now he's up here battling inside the top 10. Has Kurt Sponsler right there behind him, and Chad Lancaster rounding out our top 10 there in the Land N Sea NSB 02 ride. Joshua Neal up 10 spots as the Midwest Motorsports 82 ride. Just on the outside of the top 10 looking in, you do see Dom Salvo as our race leader when we went back to green flag racing. Unfortunately, he's kind of falling like a rock here. The 19 going from the front of the field now all the way back into the 13th, now 14th spot as the 24 works to his outside. Colton Mash right there ready to shrink as well in that 00 ride. Mike Killing back there in 16th. Robert Tuwiscu there in 17th. And we see Johnny Thunders running out our top 18 here on the speedway. Chris Muse right there with him, and then we see first driver 1 lap down out there on the speedway. It is this number 8 rider, Lance Brantlinger. Brantlinger would love to see a quick caution flag here, knowing that this next caution flag could potentially put him back onto the lead lap and back into contention here, where he can try to aim and gain some of those very important points here on the evening after his mistake out of corner number 4, hitting the apron there through the dog leg. Lost the front end of that car, unfortunately slammed down into the inside wall. No caution flag for the 8 ride as he took it down pit side and lost a couple laps, but he's been able to battle back now finds himself 1 lap down. He was in contention there for the lucky dog for a while there during that second stage, but unfortunately no caution flags and more drivers going a lap down. Somebody else unfortunately gained that free pass position and kind of left him stranded there a lap down, and now back into that position here again, just hoping for that quick caution flag before our race leaders start to run in to lap traffic again here this evening. As David Duran Jr. out in front, starting to actually stretch out that race lead by quite a bit here. David Duran Jr. 2.25 seconds now between himself and Caleb McKinney. McKinney rolls there in position number 2 as Cameron Combs up into 3rd here. Now Reed there in 4th. Corey Crowell back in 5th, as I'm not sure what might have happened to Austin Smith here. Smith all the way back now into the 13th position, as it looks like Smith actually ended up. Well, what happened to Smith here? Says he entered pit lane. Did he come down into pit lane here? He was looking to battle for the race lead right there. Oh, the car gets loose, and he ends up tagging the inside fence right there. Luckily enough, doesn't look like too much damage, but you see that car basically get stopped there on the racetrack. Was able to get it back into gear and keep on rolling, and another driver having an issue down there on the dog leg here at Phoenix Raceway, and that took Austin Smith from battling for the race lead with David Duran Jr. to all of a sudden back here battling for just getting a top 10 on the speedways. He finds himself in that 13th spot and trying to hunt down Tyler Humphrey, Casey Gross, and Chad Lancaster to try to put himself back up inside the top 10. It's going to be a tall task here this afternoon. Going to have to rely on some good pit stops, some good strategy, and just some good consistency out there to see if you can battle this WeatherTech 23 ride back up towards the front of the field. As David Duran Jr. leads the way, Cameron Combs now into second. Caleb McKinney there in third with Al Reed and Corey Crowell, our top 5 here on the Speedway. Adolfo Castillo back there in 6th with Brandon Puffenbarger back in 7th. Kurt Sponsler, Joshua Neal, and Chad Lancaster round out our top 10. Casey Gross there in 11th with Tyler Humphrey, Austin Smith, Dom Salvo, and Robert Tuiscu, our top 15 here on the Speedway. Killingbeck and Muse there in 16th and 17th. Colt managing the 00 ride. The Williamsburg Contracting All-Seeing Motorsports machine is heading down pit road here. Gonna get some service done to this 00, and unfortunately an unscheduled pit stop for that 00, and that will see him go at least 1, maybe even 2 laps down here this afternoon. As Lance Brantlinger there in the 8 ride will move around the 00 of Manich and slide himself still in that free pass position on the Speedway, but it's going to keep Wayne Garland, Johnny Thunders, Billy Jordan, and unfortunately Darrell Whitford down in basically a couple laps down here on the Speedways. We do see Whitford has left the building here. He's actually taking that car back down behind the pit lane wall and out of this race. So a heartbreaker there for Mr. Darrell Whitford. But out in front, David Duran Jr., he's feeling good about his odds here this afternoon. He still leads the way. Going to click off another lap, this time by the start-finish line. And David Duran Jr., he's been a man on a mission here this afternoon. He's been showing these drivers really how to get it done, man. He's led quite a few laps. We've seen him work through some of the traffic, We've seen him work through some of that traffic. We've seen him try to, gain positions off the restarts, and time again, he keeps finding his way closer and closer to the front of the field here. And after picking up that stage win in the end of stage number 2, he's got to be feeling good right now, leading this race, building that lead up between himself and Cameron Combs, and trying to keep it that way as Combs still a couple seconds back there behind him, and I don't think he's really closed that gap all too much. Maybe about a 1/10 of a second, potentially a 1/10 of a second between our race leader in the 15 ride of Cameron Combs out there on the Speedway. And then you see Caleb McKinney right there. Now we see Al Reed, as you do see the 20 rider Corey Crowell get split right there. He's going to slide back a couple spots on the Speedways. Reed and Castillo both going to roll right around him. Now here comes the 5 rider Brandon Puffenbarger. Puffenbarger continues to work his way towards the front of the field here. Puffenbarger right there in 7th, but looking for 6th here over top of that 20 ride. Kurt Sponsler rounding up our top 8 with Tyler Humphrey back there in 9th, and Austin Smith back up inside the top 10. It didn't take him too long to get back into the top 10. Able to pass a few of those drivers, and now finds himself back here in that 10th position, but he does find himself about 10 seconds back of our race leader, and unfortunately going for that slide, getting that little bit of left front damage could be enough to affect his performance here this afternoon, where the 23 ride may not find victory lane, but nothing is impossible when it comes to racing. Is out in front, David Duran Jr., Cameron Combs, Caleb McKinney, our top 3 here on the Speedway. Let's jump on board here with this number 51 ride and give you guys a ride around Phoenix Raceway. So hard on the gas down through the dog leg. There you see them kind of coast through the beginning portion of these big wide sweeping turns, and then kind of hit the apex there through the middle of 1 and 2. You're able to get back onto the loud pedal, but you got to make sure that you're pointed straight enough that you don't wash up the track into that outside fence. Same thing, hard on the throttle down the back straightaway, hard back onto the brakes, coast down around the bottom and back onto the throttle here to finish up a lap. Now you see the 51 not using that dog leg, but we've seen it time and time again with drivers use that dog leg, how bumpy and how dirty of a track it is down there, and you don't hit it right, or you get into it a little too fast, or with the wrong throttle inputs going through it, you could potentially slide yourself around in a quick hurry. So sometimes it's the fastest way. You can shave off a little bit of time running that inside groove and cutting that dog leg, but sometimes it's not the best way around the racetrack, because sometimes that dirty ground, the bad bumps or anything else could affect the handling of your car, could turn you around, make you run into issues, even just get super loose and save the car, but all of a sudden you're loose, you're sideways, you get no drive forward, and all of a sudden you're losing half a second to a second every time because your car is just sliding down through that dog leg and not actually building speed up and using that forward momentum to get better lap times or to gain positions out there on the speedway. So David Duran Jr. doing a great job just rolling out there on the racetrack, not trying to be too flashy, just trying to keep it on the racing surface and down and on or around that yellow line here, especially through the center of these corners, as he continues to do a great job, continues to keep that gap between himself and Cameron Combs right around the same here. They haven't really been able to catch up to this 51 ride. No one's really started trying to reel him in or put the pressure onto his back bumper, as Combs back here still about 2.6 seconds back of David Duran Jr. Caleb McKinney a little farther back. He's about 4.3 seconds behind our race leader. Then Brandon Puffenpark a little farther back. They're in fourth. Corey Crowell now into fifth. Now Reed there in sixth with Sponsler, Adolfo Castillo, and Austin Smith now into the ninth position as Smith continues to try to track his way back inside our top 10 here and trying to work himself back up towards the front of the field here this afternoon. But he's running out of time in a quick hurry as we're already over 100 laps into this race. Already 66% of this race is done and over with here, and the laps are counting down closer and closer to our checkered flag here this evening. So things are just kind of starting to heat up here as less than 50 laps left to go. This is when things can get really wild. You got to make sure that you stay absolutely perfect, and now we've seen 30 laps on these tires on this fuel strategy. When do we see these drivers have to make their way down pit side? When do they end up down pit road to try to get some fuel, get some tires, see what they can do out there on the speedway? Let me see if we can see how many laps they can go here before their tires or before their fuel starts to become a big issue here. Pit stops and fuel. Lost in pit 20 seconds. Their drivers lost time 20 seconds. They get 4 tires. Fuel fill rate 3. Okay, it doesn't really show. Doesn't really show how many laps they can make it on a set of fuel. And it's some new things in here to SDK. I'm not sure what some of them are or what they mean, but definitely interesting kind of stuff that they added in there. So we like that, but unfortunately, we can't really tell what a fuel mileage run will look like here, as we haven't really seen them go beyond this point. So stage number 1 was 35 laps. Stage number 2 was also 35 laps, and these drivers were last down pit lane on lap 72. We had a couple caution flag laps, so I'd say we went back to green flag racing probably around lap number 75 here, right around that halfway marker of the day. So now we are over that 30-lap run. In the next 4 to 5 laps, we're going to see these drivers go above and beyond what they've ran before with those 35-lap runs for our stages early in the day. So it's going to be interesting to see how these cars are going to handle, who's going to have the best car kind of on that longer run, and see who can maybe try to jump up here and compete and battle, maybe take this win away from that 51 ride, as he's going to put another driver a lap down. That is Dom Salvo. Unfortunately there for Salvo, he is going to go a lap down out here on the speedway. That's a tough break for the 8 of Lance Brantlinger, as well as Brantlinger now not in that free pass position, as our race leader starting to catch some of these lap down cars, or some of the cars that are about to go a lap down in a quick hurry. And that's going to put Salvo now into that free pass spot. We would need a caution flag and another quick caution flag to help try to get Lance Brantlinger back onto the lead lap. Unfortunately for Brantlinger, so far we haven't seen a whole lot of caution flags on the day. We've seen only a few of them, a couple early ones, and then we saw the stage break caution flags, and unfortunately we haven't seen too many to really count on trying to get that lucky dog here. And got snake bit there at the end of stage number 2, as unfortunately there at stage number 2 we got snake bitten, didn't have that free pass position anymore, and of the same thing. So that's going to be very interesting, as Outcast Racing League says today ends a streak of over 110 starts in a row for one of our drivers. Oh, maybe. Ladies and gentlemen, who do you think that could be? 110 starts in a row for one of our drivers. That's got to be Anthony Garland, right? I don't see Anthony in here, so that's got to be Anthony Garland. It's got to be. I know James missed a couple weeks ago, so his streak has kind of already ended, as you do see Salvo end up coming down pit side. He had to make some sort of a move here. A good call there by him coming down pit lane a little bit earlier to try to see if he can kind of, get some fuel mileage or tire wear game kind of in play to help him out here in this one, as we do see these drivers now down 110 laps out of this race, and we're inching closer and closer to that checkered flag. So this is going to be very, very interesting here, ladies and gentlemen, with less than 40 laps left in this race. Drivers have now put about 40 laps or so onto this set of tires and this fuel mileage, and now we're starting to see more drivers head down pit road. So here comes Al Reed and a couple more. It is indeed. I knew it. I knew it, brother. I knew it. Come on now, don't trust my or don't judge my memory. I don't know, I'm just kidding. It was a pretty clear and obvious one right there. I think it was pretty clear and obvious. But that's for me, maybe not for all the fans at the stands. But we do see Poffenbarger now head down pit side. We see Kurt Sponsler in the ESR number 49 ride. He's gonna head down pit road as well. So green flag pit stops getting underway here, which could be our final pit stop on the day, unless we see that late race caution flag that could potentially really make things interesting if drivers have that extra set of tires behind pit wall, or if someone has saved that extra set here and we see that late race caution flag, 10, 15 laps left to go. Everyone else that's coming down pit road right now will have, 10, 20, 30 laps worn out tires, and maybe not have that extra set back there behind pit wall. So it could be a bit of another strategy call here, but you're going to be very, very careful with these strategies. Sometimes it can come back to bite you. You come down pit road early, and unfortunately you end up going a lap down, or maybe even multiple laps down here to David Duran Jr. The caution flag comes out, and all of a sudden you find yourself, stuck a lap down or multiple laps down here late in this race. As Royal Mudkip says, what game is this? This is iRacing, Mudkip. This is iRacing, the racing simulator here, and this is what she looks like, brother. She is absolutely top notch. This is the best racing simulator on the in the world. Closest thing you'll get to being behind the wheel of a actual race car, whether it's a dirt race car or a asphalt race car or any of the road course stuff, off-road dirt stuff, man. This is the closest thing you'll get to being behind the wheel of one of those cars. As David Duran Jr. out in front, continue to lead the way. Right there battling with him is another one of our lap down cars. Look out, here comes another one. Casey Gross getting a little loose there down through the back straightaway right there. That definitely had to be a little bit sketch for our race leader, David Duran Jr. He's going to click off another lap. As here we go, Cameron Combs. He's going to head down pit side, so he's going to forfeit that second spot on the speedway, and he will slide back into position number 5. Thank you. It looked like Beam NG until I saw the iRacing logo. Yeah, it's iRacing, brother. Not Beam MG. Beam MG is pretty cool. It's fun, but it's not just racing, right? It's so many other things, so many different things, and it's a fun game as well, but not quite a simulator or a simulation factor of what actual real life racing is. So, but it's a fun game, man. Can't judge anyone that plays it, man. It's a fun game. It's an interesting game, and you can definitely do some pretty cool, spectacular things on it, and it's a lot of fun. As out in front, David Duran Jr. is going to stay out for another lap here. Caleb McKinney going to head down pit side this time, so now he'll forfeit that second spot on the speedway. Here comes Tyler Humphrey in the eBay Motors number 24 ride. He'll head down pit side here as well. So more green flag pit stops out here on the speedway, but our race leader still yet to come down pit lane. As we roll down here into corner number 2, here he comes. David Duran Jr. in that Camaro, going to head down pit side. The Napa Auto Centers number 51 heads down looking to get some service done to that 51 machine. Here comes the Quantum Motorsports Peacemaker Gaming number 31 of Adolfo Castillo. He's going to head down pit road here as well. Here comes Chad Lancaster, the Quantum Motorsports Land N Sea NSB 02 ride down pit side in the fast track. 99 of Chris Muse also down pit road. We're still waiting for a couple other drivers to find their way down pit side here, but right now Casey Gross ends up coming back down pit side here in this race, which I do believe he will, but we'll have to wait and see how that plays out. It's Cameron Combs who could potentially be our new race leader here this afternoon. Now, came down pit side on lap number 116. That's 3 laps earlier than what we saw David Duran Jr. come down pit road. So David will have a bit fresher tires, but he does find himself quite a ways behind that number 15 of Cameron Combs here on the speedway. As Combs now going to go around Casey Gross, as Gross has taken his number 77 ride down pit side here. So Casey played that bit of a strategy call there for a lap or two, but now has to make his way down pit side, and that will put him, unfortunately, back a lap down here again on the speedway, unless we see a caution flag before the 15 of Cameron Combs catches up to him here and goes around him down there on pit lane. But Combs out in front has about 2 seconds now between himself and Austin Smith. Now Smith has about 7 lap older tires than that 15 ride of Cameron Combs. So unfortunately for Austin Smith, he's not running down our race leader. It's actually Cameron Combs stretching out that race lead and building the gap up between himself and the 23. Corey Crowell back there in third. He's about 4 seconds behind our race leader, and same with David Duran Jr. Now, David does have virtually the freshest tires out there on the racetrack, so if anybody's going to hunt down that 15 ride of Cameron Combs, it's going to be the 51 of David Duran Jr., who's going to move around Corey Crowell back into that third spot onto the speedway, but he's got about 4 seconds of a gap that he's going to make up here and try to hunt down Cameron Combs. And that's going to be one tall task here for David Duran Jr. this afternoon, and I don't think Austin Smith is going to lay down and let him go by very easily here. I think Smith is going to battle hard with that 51 run, where if he does battle door to door for a couple laps out there on the racetrack, what kind of is that going to kind of take a little bit more time out of that 51's game plan to try to hunt down the 15 ride? Do we see that time being chewed off and him trying to move around the 23, where all of a sudden 15 of Cameron Combs is too far away for him to catch here late in this race? As we head down across the start-finish line here once again with Cameron Combs down across the line, I do believe that is going to be 26 more laps left to go here this afternoon. 26 more laps here for Cameron Combs to try to hang on and pick up the checkered flag here this afternoon from Phoenix Raceways. We're going to jump into another very quick Peacemaker Gaming Crank It Up. So ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, once again, crank up that volume and cheer on your favorite drivers down across the line. We see 25 more laps left to go here for Cameron Combs. flag there on the racetrack. You saw it right here from the live look. That was the 8-rider Lance Brantlinger going around it there on the speedway. A heartbreaker there for the 8-riders. Brantlingers had some tough luck all evening long, and now goes around to bring out this late race caution flag. That's the last thing that our race leader Cameron Combs wanted to see, as Cameron was out in front, still had about a 3-second plus lead between himself and David Durant Jr., and it did not look like David was going to catch up to him anytime soon, as we see some of these drivers start to head down pit road. Cameron Combs, Austin Smith, Corey Crowell, Brandon Puffenbarger coming down pit sign, and a lot of other drivers coming down pit road as well. So a little bit of a strategy call here. We talked about it. Late race caution flag. Some drivers potentially having that extra set of tires down there behind pit wall still, and other drivers may not have them, as we do see David Durant Jr. going to stay out on the speedway. So doesn't look like he's got that extra set, and he's going to take that track position, and he'll find himself now out in front leading the field, as Caleb McKinney going to be right there behind him. Al Reed up into third, Adolfo Castillo, Colton Manich, and Kurt Sponsler. Our top 6 here still on the lead lap out there on the racetrack. Unfortunately here for Chad Lancaster, he's going to get that lucky dog, so that's actually a fortunate break there for him, so he'll get the free pass, the lucky dog, back on the lead lap here, so he will join the lead lap drivers as one of 13 cars on the lead lap here once again. But we do see Chris Muse and the number 60 of Johnny Thunders looking to try to get a lap back out there on the racetrack. I do believe that'll put Muse back onto the lead lap, and everyone else that's unfortunately still a lap down, like Dom Salvo, Casey Gross, Robert Tuiscu, Mike Killingbeck, and Johnny Thunders there himself. They're going to have to try to battle for that lucky dog and hope for another caution flag late in this race, as Cameron Combs goes from first back down pit side, now finds himself here in position number 6, getting ready to go back to green flag racing, as there's Colton Manich down pit road again here as well. So Manich going to come down pit side. He's going to use those fresh tires that he had behind pit wall, and he'll roll back out. Unfortunately going to lose a lot of track position being late to come down pit road, and he'll find himself now back in the 13th spot on the speedway. So there's going to be about 14 laps of a difference between David Durant's tires and our old race leader, the 15 of Cameron Combs. So there's quite a bit of a gap there between tires on the speedway between those two cats. Can the 15 of Cameron Combs battle back through the traffic and up through the field to contend for the race win here with David Durant Jr., or will he run out of time? Will he maybe not be able to make the passes quick enough to put himself into contention for the race win here this afternoon? We're about to see how it all plays out as we'll get ready to go back to green flag racing here in just a couple more moments. We'll get another quick word in here from our promo here with the Outcast Racing League. As we're going to cut that short, as we're going to get ready to go back to green flag racing is down through the Geico restart zone. The green flag quickly back out into the air here for David Durant Jr. So David does see that green flag fly once again here on the evening. 14 laps left to go. Who will find their way into victory lane? We watched that 15 rider Cameron Combs already work himself around a couple of those other drivers with the older tires, and he quickly goes from about the 6th position position, back up and into third. So Cameron Combs and those fresh tires making quick work of a few of those cats and stayed out there onto the speedway. Now he's going to try to go after Caleb McKinney and David Duran Jr. as he looks to try to fight his way back to the front of the field in what could be a major win here in our second playoff race of the season. As he quickly closes in on the back bumper here of Caleb McKinney. McKinney going to try to hold him back there at bay, but that 15 right with the fresh tires may be a little too much. As Adolfo Castillo there in fourth. Austin Smith back up inside the top 5. Al Reed there in 6th with Colton Manich now into 7th here. Tyler Humphrey, Brandon Puffenbarger, Kurt Sponsler are top 10 out there on the racetrack. And you see Puffenbarger get up, scrub the outside wall right there as David Duran Jr. continues to lead the way. But door to door back there for the second spot. Here comes Combs. Combs looking to move around that number 76 ride. And with 11 laps left to go, Cameron Combs back up into position number 2. Now he's hoping to clear this 76 ride in a quick hurry. He does not want to get stuck battling door to door here with Caleb McKinney for very long as he wants to close that gap and reel in our race leader and down that back straightaway. He's going to get the run he was looking for. It's into the inside fence. The 20 right of Corey Crowell. Crowell hard into the inside wall there out of corner number 2. Heavy left front damage. No caution flag on the speedway. So no yellow flags out here on the racetrack as we are going to keep it clean and green, and driver's going to continue to battle, and he's going to pull down and potentially off of the speedways. He's down on the apron here looking like he's going to hand down pit sign here after that hard contact out of corner number 2. But David Duran Jr. out in front continues to lead the way, but Cameron Combs, the fresher tires right there behind him, looking to try to hunt him down for the late race lead here this afternoon. Austin Smith, he's right there in the same picture, had that extra set of tires down there behind pit wall. Now he's going after Caleb McKinney for position number 3 as David Duran Jr. under fire. Here comes Cameron Combs. Combs down low, has the door open down into corner number 3. He's going to set it in there deep, door to door, but the 51 powers down and out of corner number 4. David Duran Jr. will keep that race lead. They're going to try to cut that dog leg, look to try to battle down into corner number 1 here at Phoenix Raceway. The 15 right of Cameron Combs putting all sorts of pressure here on David Duran Jr. as they battle here for the race lead again. Combs kind of getting that inside look here, but so far David Duran Jr. has been able to hit this middle groove through 3 and 4 perfectly here this afternoon. But now you do see Combs get the advantage out of 4, and he will take that race lead away. So Cameron Combs back out in front with 7 laps left to go. David Duran Jr. slides back into position number 2. Now here comes Austin Smith. Smith looking to try to join this battle, this fun at the front of the field. A good run right there. He's going to close in onto the back bumper here of the 51 right of David Duran Jr. David trying to hang right there within striking distance of that 15. Unfortunately, another good run down through 3 and 4 for Cameron Combs, and he'll stretch out that lead by a couple car lengths. And now David taken off of offense, having to go try to pack onto defense here as the WeatherTech 23 of Austin Smith trying to get around that 51 right here as well. We do see Brandon Puffenbarger up inside the top 5, so a good rebound day here for himself there in the 5th position. Same with Colton Manich. We saw him go a couple laps down here throughout this race and now battling back in just outside of the top 5 here on the speedway. Tyler Humphrey right there, as well as Adolfo Castillo. Joshua Neal doing a great job up inside the top 10. Then we see Al Reed, Kurt Sponsler, Chris Muse, Chad Lancaster, Mike Killingback, and Casey Gross are top 15 here on the speedway. But out in front, it's all Cameron Combs. As Combs, this time, down across the start-finish line, we'll see 4 more laps left to go, and the heat is on as Austin Smith now around David Duran Jr. as well, and trying to close that gap between himself and the Mobile 1, number 15 of Cameron Combs. We saw these two battle and run very identical lap times there throughout the first stage of the day. We saw the 23 ride pick up that stage win. Cameron Combs came home second there in that stage. They both fell back in stage number 2, trying to save this extra set of tires that came in clutch and perfectly timed here this afternoon for the both of them. But it's Cameron Combs that had the track position and able to make his way through the traffic here to take this race lead away, and now looking to keep it that way. Trying to keep the 23 of Austin Smith back there at bay as David Duran Jr. trying to hold on to third as Caleb McKinney and Brandon Puffenbarger right there within striking distance of that 51 machine here this afternoon. As they continue to battle, continue to close in, we see another lap get clicked off the board and only 2 more laps left to go here for the 15 ride of Cameron Combs, as Combs trying to pick up the dub here this afternoon is down the back straightaway. Nice and easy as Smith right there behind him, only about 3 car lengths separating our top 2 on the racetrack. Smith sends it in there deep, looking to try to close that gap, trying to get to his back bumper here late in the race. Is out at corner number 4. We will see that white flag fly. So down through the dog leg here at Phoenix Raceway and power down into corner number 1. Combs looking to get it done. Austin Smith looking to try to take it away from him here this afternoon as they round corner number 2 and go down our back straightaway for the final time here this afternoon. Combs down into corner number 3. Smith sends it in there, can't get to his back bumper as out of 4, it's Cameron Combs who's going to pick up the win this afternoon in playoff race number 2 for the Outcast Racing League, powered by Williamsburg Contracting, Shenco Custom Diecasts, Land N Sea NSB, and the RT3 Designs LLC team, as it is Cameron Combs who picks up the dub and puts himself up here and into victory lane. Smith there in second, and David Duran Jr. unfortunately coming home back there in position number 3. But it's the Elite Sim Racing ride of Cameron Combs who gets the job done and will burn down the house here on the front straightaway. Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, give it up here for our race winner as Cameron Combs gets it done here this evening, man. What a run, what a race, and what a drive there for Mr. Combs here in this one. Let's see some hashtag 50. Congratulations here to this number 15 right here this afternoon, man. I want to see a bunch of hashtag 15s up in the chat right now, ladies and gentlemen, for Cameron Combs. What a run, what a drive there for him, man. What a heck of a performance by that number 15 ride. He's able to get the job done. He's able to pick up a big win, and he's able to pretty much advance his way into the next round of the playoffs. I do believe the win in you're in here for the playoffs is still in effect, so I do believe he does move straight on through to our next round of the playoffs here at the Outcast Racing League, and we'll get ready to pull our top 3 up here into the broadcast booth for their post-race interviews. We'll see them up into the Discord here momentarily, and we'll pull them in for their post-race interviews here this afternoon, man. What a run, what a race, what a drive. As here's Cameron Combs, our race winner. Let's pull him up here into the booth. Hey, Cameron, it's Aaron up here in the PeaceMaker Broadcasting booth. You get a copy?
Yeah, I got you.
Cameron, man, what a run, what a race. Take us back through this one as a lot of different strategy, a lot of different things kind of coming into play here this evening. And we saw you, early on, you work yourself up through a couple of those drivers. You're battling there in the front of the field between yourself and Austin Smith and David Duran Jr. And then all of a sudden we get a bit more of a green flag run there in that first stage, and you settle in for that second place spot there in that first stage. And then come the second stage, all of a sudden, you guys taking that strategy call, trying to save that extra set of tires, not use them there in that second stage. You fall outside the top 10. You don't earn any stage points, but that extra set of tires came in clutch here late in this race as you were able to throw them on late in this one, going from first all the way back to that 6th spot here for a late race restart. What was going through your mind there, knowing that you had the better tires? We had Smith right there with you, and you had to work yourself through a lot of fast drivers there inside the top 5.
Yeah, I was starting to get a little worried there because I felt like if I would have took tires there at the end of stage 1, I could have probably took over the race lead a little bit sooner. And Duran was kind of walking away from me there after we did green flag stops, or before we did green flag stops, and I started reeling him in a little bit when he was racing with the 84. and then I was trying to leapfrog him during stops, so I kind of I pitted a little bit early, and I was hoping we didn't see another right lace yellow because I had like a 3-second lead over him. And caution came out. I was debating real hard what to do because I was in first, so you can't really follow what the guys ahead of you do because there's no one ahead of you. But I was worried I was going to fall farther back than I did, but it ended up we only fell back to what, 6th or 7th. Then yeah, I knew Austin had most of the Midwest guys I know took tires there, so I was kind of worried about them coming up and stinking up the show. But then I didn't think I was going to get around Duran there at the end. He was definitely putting up a good fight.
Yeah, he was definitely trying to hold you off with everything he had left in the tank there for the 51. And as he was battling with you, you saw Smith start to reel you guys in and join that battle there at the front of the field. And throughout those closing laps, you have to try to make every single lap matter. You have to hit your marks, can't make any mistakes. As Smith right there ready to pounce, only a couple car lengths off your back bumper, and you're able to hold on and run those final laps perfectly and put yourself up here into the Phoenix Raceway victory lane, man. How does it feel to not only pick up the win here tonight in this race, but knowing that it means so much being a part of our playoffs here again this season?
Yeah, it definitely helps get me through, which I think I was in a pretty good spot going into this race, even though I wrecked out last week. But it definitely helps me get through. Those 5 extra bonus points will help out a lot, and it's a great league, great to be part of the playoffs.
Absolutely, man. Another great league and another great race here for yourself as Cameron, you come home in the top spot, you pick up the dub, man. Who would you like to thank for such a great race and great performance here this afternoon?
I just got to thank the admins. I think ESR, Al, Kurt, and Rob kind of helping us through. We all kind of helped each other this race, and got to thank you for the broadcast. You always do an amazing job, so I can't wait to go back and listen to this one again.
Absolutely, brother. Well, Cameron, a great run, a great drive here this evening from you, man. It's always good to see you up here in the broadcast booth, and it's always exciting to watch you out there battle on the racetrack and work your way towards the front of the field here and battle for these race wins. You're able to pull this one off here tonight, pick up the big win, build some of that momentum to go forward here in our playoffs and trying to race your way into that championship 8 and try to battle for that championship there at Daytona.
Yep.
Cameron, enjoy the win. Don't party too hard down there in Victory Lane, and we'll see you back out there on the racetrack next Sunday.
All right. Thanks, Aaron.
Alrighty, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, give it up there for Cameron Combs, our race winner here this afternoon as Combs picks up the win and pulls that 15 right up and into Victory Lane as we'll get ready to pull in our second place finisher here this evening, the number 23. It's Austin Smith who's waiting down pit side. Let's pull him up here into the broadcast booth. Hey, Austin, it's Aaron up here in the PeaceMaker broadcasting booth. Taking a copy?
I got a copy, Aaron.
Man, another great run by another great race. We saw you lead a lot of laps early in this one, picking up that first stage win of the day. And then you and Cameron Combs kind of going a bit of a different strategy call there. Not taking those tires during that second stage. You guys slide back a little deeper through the field and, negate, getting a lot of stage points or anything else, knowing that these extra set of tires could come in handy late in the race. And boy, did they ever, as we see you two come down pit lane late in this race. It was an easier call for yourself as you were a few spots back there behind Cameron, but Cameron was out in front. You both come down pit road. You get those 4 fresh tires. You hop back out there on the racetrack. You see you have 5 or 6 drivers on older tires in front of you that you have to try to work yourself through and around to try to get up and battle for this race lead, and you gave it a valiant effort. Just unfortunately seemed like you couldn't get through that traffic there as quickly as Cameron did, and once he kind of got around David Durant Jr. there, he was able to build just that little bit of a gap that he needed to hold you off here this afternoon.
Yeah, it's almost exactly what I was going to say is Cameron just got through that traffic at the end there a lot quicker than I could. And, he was able to build that lead with that clean air. And then it was just a challenge to try to chase him down. And at that point, the tires start to become even. So, yeah, it was tough, but it was a good race. I don't know what happened, but it was like in the middle of the second stage, I had dropped onto the apron on that front stretch there, and the car just hooked left right in the wall. So I was kind of battling back with that, and that kind of put me behind the 8 ball there. But anyways, second place, good finish.
Absolutely. Definitely a good finish. Another good run. We say leading some laps and having some fun out there on the speedway. And we saw that contact with the wall there as well. So a little bit of battling that you had to do there, trying to get that car fixed back up and, you know, kind of back into one good piece to keep on battling. As I'm sure that even slight damage that you did get is enough to really affect these cars and the handling and, you know, can take a fairly good driving car and make it a little evil out there on the speedway. Did that really affect you there for quite a while, or how quickly did you and the crew get that fixed back up?
Yeah, I had to kind of mess with it for, I don't know, about 10 laps or so. It seemed decent, but it was definitely slower, and then I was able to get it fixed up. I think it was at the end of stage 2 I was able to get it fixed up. But regardless, I lost a lot of track position just trying to, you know, get it gathered up off the wall. So it was just a battle after that.
Absolutely, but you battle all the way back here for a solid second place run here this afternoon. Austin, who would you like to thank for another great run and great performance out there on the speedway?
Yeah, just give a big thanks to all the guys at ORL for putting the league on, and of course everybody for showing up and racing. It's no fun if nobody shows up and race. So shout out to them, and then for you for the broadcast. Appreciate it.
Absolutely, brother. Well, Austin, another good run, another good race. We can't wait to see you back out there on the racetrack in the next one, and hopefully we'll see you right back up here in the broadcast booth and maybe right back down and into victory lane.
Yeah, appreciate it, Aaron.
Absolutely. Enjoy the rest of your night.
Thanks.
Alrighty, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, give it up there for our second place driver, Austin Smith. Smith coming home there in position number 2. A great run and a great drive there for the number 23 machine. Now, I don't see David Duran Jr. in the Discord for post-race interview, so I can't pull him in. So a tough break there. Obviously, David probably feeling pretty gutted. Had a great car, led a lot of laps here this afternoon. Unfortunately, a little bit of strategy. A little bit of strategy came into play right there and affected the outcome there of the 51's day here. And it looked like maybe he was going to get it back after Cameron Combs and Smith came down pit side late in this race. I thought maybe he would be able to build up a bit of a lead there and keep them back there behind him in those closing laps, as he had to try to hold them off for 14 laps. But they come through that traffic very, very quickly, and unfortunately, and he wasn't able to pull far enough away that he wasn't able to hold those two off here this afternoon. But still a very solid run, very solid drive there for that 51 ride to come home in position number 3. Listen, I can't thank you guys enough for tuning in. Everyone coming in with the likes, the comments, the shares. I appreciate every single one of you tuning in and showing the love here this evening. Unfortunately, that is going to do it for us here in this one. We will be back live, though, later on this afternoon. We will be live around 8 o'clock Eastern time, just a little after 8 Eastern, with the Big Block Modifieds as the Q West Racing League goes back into action here this afternoon. We will see those drivers back out there duking it out and battling for their 4th race of the season. And already we've seen 3 races and some great driving, some great finishes, and some crazy battles out there on the racetrack. And it's going to be more of the same here this afternoon. So we hope that each and every one of you guys get a chance to tune in and watch those Big Block mods there on the dirt track. Battle it out here this afternoon. So turn those bell notifications on. That way you never miss it when we go live here on PeaceMaker Gaming. And I will see you guys all back in here just a little bit later this afternoon. But thank y'all for tuning in. Thank y'all for watching. And I'll see y'all later. Peace out for now, baby. Peace out for now, ladies and gentlemen.